The Music Matters, episode 8. Welcome back. Kev, what you been up to, man?
Chilling, man. Always working my ass off.
Look at you, dude. You got your...
I'm not, looking like a bum inside of a hoodie.
It's Cuddle Kev right here. Yeah, he's trying to get the ladies
I'm Club
on.
Kev tonight.
Club Kev.
Oots.
No, dude, I think it's more like polo... you're going to go to like the polo club.
Yeah.
Yeah, like polo club.
But the oversize is kind of what makes it...
Yeah, well, that throws the club by. You just got to spill some tequila on it.
Yeah,
you'll be
right.
good, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, today let's jump right in. We're going to be chatting a lot about AI, obviously, on this podcast. But,
yeah, you guys seem to like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of
future.
All the rage. You did see that ChatGPT came out with that like
image.
Yeah, the image thing. That
I was
huge.
fucking around with it. Yeah.
Yeah, you dig it?
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, like, I think for marketing, that's like the fucking prime thing for everyone. Yeah. Anyone who wants to make memes, it's like 2 seconds of work now.
Oh yeah. And I think the anime stuff is the stuff that's really getting leveraged.
Oh,
right?
Everyone's going crazy with anime stuff.
Yeah.
You know me, because you've seen some of the shit I've been. I was messing around with the anime shit forever.
Yeah. I was gonna say because you have those like music videos and shit, right?
Yeah.
How are you making those?
I was doing a mixture of a couple AIs, but. Starting with MidJourney and then using it's a bunch of things, but you know what I mean.
What's the animating part of it though? Like the video stuff?
Actually, you know what? I was kind of remixing songs and then also remixing their music videos. So I was having the AI stylized. So I was using style AIs to like turn videos into like anime. So
gotcha.
It was really interesting.
Yeah,
but there's so
crazy.
many of those. There's like in fact, the space of AI is like moving so quick. It's like I could recommend one, but like I'd even have to double check if like that's the hot shit.
Is that like
you know what I mean? It was like
is that even the one that everyone's using?
This is the one
right
I was
now?
using in like December, and I was like, I don't even know if that's like you know what I mean.
I feel like I'm like bouncing back and forth from the AI stuff now. Like I'll be like, oh, Claude is dope right now for this,
I use the shit out of Grok to this day.
I still got to get on that
fire
Grok
right
thing.
now.
So good segue because like today we want to talk about stuff that's going to be useful for you guys with AI. It's really fun and kind of interesting to kind of chat about where the space is, but I think it's even more interesting and fun to get value out of it and be able to utilize the tools.
How does this apply to a music career? You know what I mean? So.
And I think any creative, right? Or any business, honestly, like what are you going to do with the platforms? How can you apply them and save time, save energy, get more creative,
save money? I think more importantly for all you musicians out here. So
facts. It's like the new Focusrite Scarlett, bro.
Yeah,
you know
what I mean?
Grok is the new Focusrite Scarlett for all these musicians. It's like the technology is moving to a point where it's like, oh, this is actually really good visually. It's good language learning stuff. It's good with video stuff. It's good with helping you set up your calendar, etc. Yeah. But let's get into some really specific stuff.
Start it off, Brad. Tell me how. Like, I think ChatGPT is like a great starting place because I think everyone knows what that is. So, how are you using it in your music career?
Yeah, so 4.5 came out pretty recently, right? Yeah. So ChatGPT 4.5 and Claude are kind of my favorites for doing emails and descriptions for YouTube videos and things like that. The way that I utilize it and that I really like to utilize it is I'll feed it like other descriptions that I've made for my videos and my YouTube and there's like titles, YouTube titles matter a lot. I know a lot of you guys aren't even clicking on certain videos because you're like, that doesn't sound appealing to me.
Yeah.
Or because people put like what the video is about fully in the description or the title. And you're like, oh, I already know that. So why would I watch that video? So getting a good title that's curiosity driven, like it piques someone's curiosity and leaves kind of curiosity gap and open loop is really cool. And that's something that AI is really good at, right?
Yeah.
You can give it your best titles that you've used in YouTube before, or let's say you're making TikToks or Instagrams, promoting your music, your new song, your new single. You can go in and you can be like, hey, I used this text hook before and it did really well on my video where I'm like lip singing my song, my song. Can you generate like a dozen other ones that are around this, but let's make them more, towards indie rock instead of indie pop or whatever. I think that's a really cool way that I'm using AI right now, just because like, dude, it's exhausting, like a lot of mental power and very taxing to like come up with new descriptions, new text hooks on content, new titles for YouTube, thumbnails, right? Like just ideas for thumbnails.
Yeah.
That's all good stuff. Just stuff to help you brainstorm. I think Claude's really good with brainstorming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll punch in here. I'll jump off of what Brad's talking about. I think one of the biggest features for any of these text AIs is what I call act as if you were.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
I'll take it. So for YouTube,
right.
It's the first prompt is always act as if you were Mr. Beast. You know what I mean? Coming up with text hooks for your video.
That's
so you're having the AI take the persona and using all the data from someone like Mr. Beast, who's probably one of the most successful YouTubers of all time.
Yeah.
But even in a marketing sense, I would always go for the biggest person in their genre. So I use it all the time for marketing stuff. He's talking about text hooks, but in traditional marketing, those are just called headlines. And so I'll pick someone like Eugene Schwartz, which is one of the greatest marketing minds that's ever existed. And I'll take someone like him and then have it go through his catalog of headlines and then use that. But act as if you were. I use that for everything. So if I'm writing a song with Suno and I'm generating lyrics inside of like ChatGPT, I'll say act as if you are Amy Allen, who's an amazing songwriter who's written a lot of shit for Bieber, or Julia Michaels, or any of these top songwriters, and then it'll go through all the lyrics they've ever written, and then it'll use that as a data set to write you new lyrics or whatever.
Yeah, that's
but
crazy.
You can do that with like headlines and anything. So
yeah, that's interesting. So I think like my question there is, if you're constantly saying like act as if you were, are you kind of like getting stuff that's already been made, and like created? Like, I guess it depends.
And on lyrics, I mean, because you're basically using them as kind of a style template for whatever it is. But you can actually you can train ChatGPT on yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can put your own writing in there,
Right.
and it'll create a writing style. Say for you, you put your song "Good Times," you put your lyrics into it,
Right.
And so you can just input as much data on your music, and then create yourself into writing style. That's something that even Claude knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With writing styles built in, that's like a specific feature for Claude. So
Yeah, that's cool.
you could just have it generate like you, if that makes anything.
Yeah,
you wanna go
I
there.
think that's kind of the future of all this. Like for me personally, I love like having it as like an assistant. It's like, oh, this assistant is actually a lot smarter than an assistant that I would hire for $15 an hour or something.
Yeah.
Like or an assistant overseas, because there's a lot of that stuff like where people hire assistants, like literally I forget what it's called, but basically like people to go and answer this email and do this and do that for me while I do stuff that I need to be doing.
Yeah.
Because really like the most high priority stuff for me is create music that nobody else can create, because I'm the artist, I'm the producer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And same for you, it's like you have to be able to be the the Kevin Beggs, the KDE that like everybody wants the ChatGPT and the Groks and all that stuff to make the style of.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then you're basically just like regurgitating through AI, which I think that's kind of that's a dangerous.
It just
place.
depends where you're at, because if you're confident in what you do, then just train your own model on you, which, like I was saying, I think would be perfect for you, because I think as a business, you always feel like you don't have enough of use.
No.
You know what I mean?
And I think like a lot of people in their mind like might be thinking, oh well, if you train it on you, it's just like your experiences and your influences. So, you probably have these influences or whatever, but you have to remember it's like a specific formula that makes you unique, right? Like my experiences and how I grew up is totally different than anybody else in the world. And same for you and same for anybody else out there. So I think the hard part about the training, or I guess like writing in the style of, or act as if sort of thing for me personally, is the artistic validity of it. It's like, it's not really creative anymore. I'm not like having fun with that. I think that's why I use AI for the emails and the titles and the, you know what I mean? And not like the music as much, because every time I try music stuff, it always just sounds or feels like somebody else. It doesn't sound like me or feel like me.
Yeah, but like I said, you have to pull enough data for yourself if you want. I think
that's the key. Yeah. Like you'd have to, like, yeah, maybe that's another use case. Like if you have a catalog that's like, 30 songs, 100 songs deep. You could upload like your lyrics, your style, but
yeah.
like, how do you train it on the actual music though? You know?
Yeah, what are you talking
like
about?
the songs.
Because if we're just sticking to ChatGPT, I mean, it's a text-based AI.
Yeah,
so.
you get what I'm saying? So like,
But
I think like the thing that I would find interesting is like being able to upload the songs.
you know what's so crazy about it is when I say train it on you, the things you can upload into ChatGPT are like crazy now. Like you can train it on your image, so you can upload pictures of yourself at every angle, and it can create a model. And then you can say like, today, I was taking the Obama Hope poster, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I was like, replace Obama with me, a picture of me.
That's funny.
So, but that's what I'm saying. You can have it. So I think, going off what you're talking about, you should 100% only be doing like thumbnails, album arts. You can have ChatGPT generate it, and you can talk to it like it's a graphics designer. Like, I don't know, can you like make that like little lowercase text instead of uppercase? Can you
That's
make it
what
red instead
I
of
like
blue?
that about it.
So
like that about it.
It has the feedback of ChatGPT versus things like MidJourney, which I used to use for generating images and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you have to like do specific like
it got
generation.
way like stricter in the prompting because it's not
use
ChatGPT.
Kodak film with this lens at this angle with this lighting and f-stop of 1 point. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for the average person, like that's just doing too much. Like it's hard for them to
So you spent 4 hours like prompting a visual thing when you could have just gotten to Photoshop and made something.
Well, a
better.
lot of people were using ChatGPT to prompt MidJourney.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they could talk to it.
Yeah,
like
makes
that's
sense.
when I was first messing around with MidJourney. That's what I was doing. I was just talking to ChatGPT.
Yeah, I mean, you do that with Suno, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, sometimes like, if it's like I'm trying to make a type of music and I'm not like 100% sure on it, I'll like, ChatGPT, can you explain to me this type of music? And then also, can you create prompts for Suno on this style of music? And then it'll spit down like ideas. This is, bedroom pop, which is like I don't know every sub genre of whatever particular thing that you know what I mean. I'm an old head these days, so what are these new kids doing?
Jolly Rancher emo.
What's bedroom pop versus regular pop? Like, no, it's so different.
I had that feeling when like, remember lo-fi beats were like super hot.
Yeah, that's what.
I was like,
pop shit is.
You mean like '90s boom bap? Like this was just '90s boom bap, and then like all these lo-fi heads got on my case about it. They're like, nah, bro, lo-fi is different because this and that. And I'm like, bro, you don't know. Like, did you ever listen to Jay Dilla? Like, just because you guys are putting plugins on Jay Dilla beats doesn't like.
But you know what's funny?
Lo-fi.
They'll just literally take something that existed back in the day, and then they'll just because they'll
put a warble tape
like
on it.
on TikTok. It's like called slowed and reverbed, but that's chopped and screwed. Like DJ Screw made that. Yeah, like we know that. That's some Texas shit. Chopped and screwed. They always threw reverb on it.
I mean, this is like history repeats itself.
I know, but
I think that's why AI is like a powerful thing that a lot of people think like, oh no, it can't do like new stuff because
it can.
It can't do new stuff because it doesn't know what's new and stuff. It's like, well, bro, you guys are making the same shit that like we made in the 90s and then like the early 2000s.
You can have an experiment. You could tell like a Suno to do symphonic dubstep, and it'll do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And it's just a moment in time where like dubstep comes back and has its moment. Yeah, it just keeps recycling.
They'll rename it something else.
Yeah.
But it's basically that.
Oh, and it's not dubstep. It's hard style. No, that's not hard style. That's D&B with like Garage UK. You're like, bro, it's fucking dubstep, bro. Like, I got Serum 2 and now I'm making new dubstep. It's like some new name or whatever.
You know what? They need to start building AI more into these plugins because there's like, plugins that specifically are the AI plugins like Synth GPT, which I really don't like, to be honest. Yeah. But if they built that feature set into Serum, like, then it would be crazy.
That would be sick.
That's what I'm saying.
Just the ability to like process and make new wavetable based on whatever, like the the I don't know, Akai blah blah blah. Like make a wavetable that sounds like this. Yeah, oh for sure.
Yeah,
I think that's the creative part and the fun part for me with the AI stuff is collaborative stuff. It's not like for example, when I'm writing lyrics, like holy shit, these AIs are terrible with lyrics. And you know what's so funny?
You got to try act as if, because if you,
bro, I can hear.
You gotta be able to, because it can write some shit. I mean, it's not perfect. That's why you're there, because it's like, yo, these like ChatGPT is not an artist, but it can come with concepts that spark the idea of something amazing. You know what I mean,
bro? Like I noticed, like a lot of people putting songs out that I can tell that they wrote with ChatGPT. You know what I mean? They're like, the light of the shining, you know, like it'll say a word.
Well, some people just suck. Sometimes
no. Like you'll hear like the AI writing in there, you know, and I'm like, oh, you wrote this with AI. I can tell.
Yeah.
Like you could just hear it, because once you just mess around a little bit with those language models, like write me a song in the style of blah blah blah, whatever. Like write lyrics like this. Try to use my cadence and just finish this line. Like it will always finish it with like the most predictable shit.
Well, when I do it, I usually have like, generate 50 options, and so then I'll just go through and find.
Yeah, and then you have to just keep
filtering. And
I'll
look through it all, and then I'll end up writing something based on something.
Yeah.
Versus stealing it one for one.
That's what I'm saying. Like the collaborative process of it is good, but like the like taking what it spits out is just like, that's cringe to me. Like it's still.
Oh well, yeah.
It still doesn't feel right.
It's just like, because most people, I think they're. The AI is making better music decisions than they are, if that makes any sense. Facts. And so that's why they're taking it, because
it happens
they wouldn't take those lyrics if they could do it themselves. You know what I mean?
You hear it a lot in sync. You hear every single like anthemic rap song for the NFL and ESPN. Let's go, let's get them, go get them.
Yeah,
you know, it's all the same shit, and it's almost exhausting, because it's like, do these producers on these series like know how bad that is, how cringy it is, or are they just like, it works, whatever, put it on there?
Yeah,
you know.
But you know what? Before I was using ChatGPT, like we used to just go on like thesaurus.com, and I remember because
rhyming dictionaries.
One of these artists, his name is Trey, but we were writing a song called "Expensive Emotions," but he had the idea, but I just remember going through it was something emotions. It was like money emotions or some bullshit. And I was like going through the source. I was like, oh, expensive emotions. That's fire.
Yeah, it's way better. Yeah.
And so then like we made the tag of the song, expensive emotions. It costs a fortune to love you. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I like that.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like taking, but that's what I'm saying. This is before ChatGPT, but we were just going on these sources.
Yeah, that's how we did it.
But ChatGPT is just an easier way of doing that. So
yeah. It's like, like it already has the rhyming dictionary, you know? From 2005.
Yeah.
Like it's already uploaded. I guarantee you they trained it on that shit, because
they got the entire internet downloaded.
Bro.
So, you know.
But yeah, man, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep giving people just ideas, you know. I think this podcast and any podcast should give you it should leave you with thoughts that you didn't have before, or maybe spark an idea for you guys. So, and if you get anything out of the podcast, just show love, man. Like, we do this all out of our pocket. We fund this. We got our cameras, our setup, taking up the studio, all that stuff for you guys. So if you like it, subscribe to the channel, drop some love in the comments, share the show. That's how it grows.
Or drop some hate. You know.
Yeah, drop some hate. We don't care.
Put some dislikes down there. You know, boost our algorithm anyway.
Dislike it. This sucks.
Thumbs down.
These guys suck. AI is gonna suck and sucks everybody's jobs. You guys suck.
I guess we could talk to some more nerdy. We could get even nerdier down the well.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Because I can drop some more AIs that I use, because I'm like the fucking
because I've only really like used Claude, ChatGPT, a little bit of Grok, not much.
Grok's my favorite one, honestly. ChatGPT is the best, but Grok is still my favorite.
Grok gets pretty creative
for what we do. Grok is technically, I think, the smartest at the moment by pure stats, but Grok has had ChatGPT's image thing, because I just remember when it was the election, and I was like, oh yeah, generate a picture of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump making out, and it could just do that. You know what I mean? Because
that's crazy.
Because if you try to put that into MidJourney, it would say, oh, we can't do specific names of shit. You know what I mean? But Grok just had no filter. You could just have it do whatever, and then you could. The thing I like about Grok is like it's X.com or Twitter. And, you know, it's like deregulated. It's like basically a fucking deregulated, uncensored. You can do whatever the fuck you want. For the most part, they do have filters on, like, obviously, if you go too crazy down the well, because, you know.
Which is kind of funny, like, politically, because it's, like, so shifted. Like, if you think about, like, Republican Party, you think conservative, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, Elon Musk is like kind of like Republican, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like
He's part of the Trump
but like
administration.
Grok is like super like far reaching, like random, you know, like it's not conservative in any sense.
Yeah, I don't know if you could apply politics to
You get what I'm saying though?
that.
Like, yeah, but you can, because I think a lot of these
No, I'm just saying as far as the concept of
yeah,
Twitter,
these AIs get really political. They're very
That's why I don't really use Gemini, because Gemini is heavily censored and
I
heavily
heard like
politically.
2.5 came out, right? And it's like really good.
I've messed with it, but I just have no need to keep messing with Gemini, because for the things that I do, like writing lyrics or coming up with stuff, like I'd even prefer DeepSeek over like those ones. You remember?
DeepSeek's good.
Yeah, I really like DeepSeek.
I fucked with DeepSeek and it just felt like ChatGPT to me.
Yeah,
like
which is great.
It gave
was
me
great
pretty
when it
much
was
the
free,
same stuff.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to like stuff that artists can use. I want to get into like artists, producers.
We should talk about like kind of like MidJourney and stuff, because I think a lot of people don't understand exactly. Well, if you can just do it in Grok, or if you can do it in DeepSeek, or
no,
you
it's
can
very
do it
different.
in ChatGPT,
Very
it's
different.
very different.
Yeah.
And it just depends on how nerdy down the well you are. Like he was talking about Kodak film and this type of stuff.
Yeah.
You can get really it's an image generator that you can get really specific with. So, you know, when I was talking about style, you know, the style recreators and stuff like that for the video stuff, I could like turn anything into anime, or I could turn it into Pixar style 3D animation, or I could turn it into any number of things. And like I said, this could go even deeper, but you know, pertaining it to music, I would basically generate what's called like a character sheet off of MidJourney.
Gotcha.
And so a character sheet is like an anime character from multiple angles. It's like what you know, they would use so that you could have every angle of the character.
Right.
And then I would send that to the style AI, and then the style AI would know exactly, okay, because I could take this video of Brad right now, and then turn you into anime. But it would know every angle at which the character would turn.
Yeah, so they used to do that. That's a good point, by the way. Like they used to do that with different softwares, like 3D. You know of 3D, right? And then because we went to school for this stuff. Yeah. We went to a school called Expression Digital Arts, and they taught like animation. What else? Like a lot of different stuff.
Film.
Right? Film. Yeah.
All sorts of game audio, and,
right?
And a full audio program, which we got. So
yeah, like a lot of just like different styles, because it was like a direct hiring pool for Pixar and DreamWorks as well. So we learned a lot of that stuff in our like core classes about that stuff, like 3D and all these different, you know, After Effects and Photoshop and the Adobe stuff, right? But that stuff is kind of getting replaced, I think, a little bit more with AI. And I think that's kind of what animators are really worried about, is that they like spent a whole lifetime working on these skill sets to like learn animation and graphic, you know, all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think it's not there yet, but I think in the next 10 it'll definitely be there.
Oh, in the next 2 years, easy. Like I think the big
it'll become more built into the actual because like modern Marvel movies are still, you go in the old way with
you got a team of people, visual effects, graphic effects. You know, there's teams of people.
They're using Unreal Engine and they're generating.
Unreal Engine was the other one. That was the one I was trying to think of. But yeah, so this stuff is what he's talking about is like basically generating that stuff for you. So you take like pictures at multiple angles, or you know, how would you do that like more efficiently? Like, could you take a video or no?
So if you wanted a cartoon yourself, you could set up a camera like this and then take pictures of you at multiple angles.
Turn,
and then you could send that to MidJourney, and then you could tell it Studio Ghibli or whatever animation style you want. And I think how this pertains to musicians is the idea of creating a high quality music video for, you know, the price of your time plus, you know, $50. You know what I mean? I think, and I've already done that. You've seen them. You know what I mean? So,
and they came out good. Yeah. They're only going to get better too.
Yeah. I mean, there's still AI and there's still like, depending on how much time you spend, you can work all the kinks out. But you know what I mean?
But then it's like, dude, how much are you getting paid an hour?
But
like now I'm animating and I'm an animator. Like, I think that's a trap that people can fall into as well. Like, artists can fall into this trap where they're using all these different platforms and they're animating videos and content and stuff. And it's like, but it doesn't even perform, you know? It's
Yeah.
like this content's not even performing, it's not authentic, it's not feeding your fan base the right way, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I would like really recommend, like, when you do stuff like that, use it for ads and stuff, right? So to a cold audience, I think that's really useful. So for example, what I would do, I got a new single coming out. I have 2 new singles coming out. And if I was like setting it up to put on meta ads, right? So it's running ads on Instagram, which I run on the feed, on stories, and on reels. And what I would do is like make an animation of like 10 to 20-second clips of maybe verse 1, chorus 1, verse 2, you know what I mean? And have an animation thing that I would test, like just A/B test it with your ads so that, you know, because some people just aren't good on camera, let's be real. Like they're like older guys that just kind of look goofy and they're like standing there trying to lip sync with their guitar, you know, and they just kind of like, you know, skip. So if you made an animation,
Face made for radio, right? Is what they
yeah,
used to
you
call
know,
it back in the day.
but imagine you animate yourself and you make like a Pixar style kind of vibe of you playing a guitar acoustic and you're like walking through a Western town or some shit. That would be way cooler with like the lyrics. So at the end of that, you grab that video, you bring it into Premiere or Final Cut or whatever, and put your lyrics on there with like cool captions, you know, and animate your captions coming in. And then you can have a call to action with like the album cover would come in at the end and it would say like your song name out now. And it would just be like a 10 to 20-second clip. And then you just run every part of the song with like that clip, that animation with different parts of the song, and just see how it does. Because sometimes you can take like a 75, 50 cent cost per conversion down to like 20 cents and you get like a really good ad running and it's driving traffic to Spotify for you, you know? And you're like, whoa, dude, I'm getting streams. And I'm like, this is a really good ad campaign.
You can make it otherworldly so that, you know, because I think, everyone's doing the selfie stuff. You know what I mean? So you can do something new to the marketplace.
Facts.
With AI. So.
And if you're in like dance music, house music, whatever, like have it generate like a house party where you're like the character walking through this blurred room of like people dancing and a DJ behind you or whatever. And, you know, you're doing some fun shit. I don't know. Like, you know, it's simple stuff.
Artists we know are already doing this, but I guess... in fact, I'll talk about. I was talking with this artist. His name is Vega. He's a rapper, but he got really heavy into all the things we're just talking about with AI and stuff. But he told me he'd been rapping for 10 years, moved out to LA. The second he created this AI artist, and literally it's like, you know, a rapping robot. He's like, I'd only ever made like $5,000 off of rapping in my whole entire 10-year span of doing it. Right. You know, trying to do it professionally. And he's like, the second I created this AI artist and it's the same songs, it's just I have this robot that was
like it's like
being the persona. He's like, I made over 6 figures that first year of doing it. So
it's like a persona, exactly. Yeah. It's a because not everybody's good on camera. Like not everyone's gonna be able to go and make a TikTok that's like interesting and entertaining. Most people won't be able to, let's be real. Like most people are bad on camera. Yeah. So what's wrong with using the technology and like making a persona and having something else representing your music, like with the content?
In a visual sense, yeah.
It's just the visuals, man. Like they did that with music videos. I mean, let's think about Daft Punk.
Yep.
Never even fucking saw the guy's face.
Marshmallow.
They were 2 older French dudes, you know? Like they had fucking helmets on the whole time. You know, Deadmau5, before you ever really knew anything about Deadmau5. It was like a big fucking helmet on his face. Like, it's not new. It's just shifted into a different way, right? It's all digital. I mean, the hardest part would be doing the show, right? Like, at least Daft Punk had that thing where they could bring that thing from your screen, your TV, your phone, whatever, to a live event, and you'd still kind of get that experience.
Well, this is back to what I was saying. Marshmallow, like he didn't even go. Like,
Marshmallow even
he doesn't even he doesn't even perform. I think he sends other DJs and just have them.
Probably.
So he's able to brand himself and not have to actually like he can do a world tour and not even have to leave his house. You know,
and that could work. That could work for some people. Some people it doesn't. Right?
Yeah, I'm just saying it opens up a lot more possibilities.
I agree.
You know what I mean? In that sense,
I totally agree.
But as far as on the AI side, and I had like major discussions about doing AI with Candace, but the thing I think we kind of figured out, me and my management, is like there hasn't been an A level AI artists, and when I mean A level, like I'm talking about like an artist that like a Drake that that's AI artist yet. So and not saying it's impossible. In fact, it'll most likely happen. It's just, do you want to be the first one to, break the, you know what I mean, go down that well and put a 10, 20 year career into an AI. So, I'm sure people are doing it right now, but I'm saying, you know what I mean? You have to ask that question, is that you? Or
I agree.
You know what I mean? So
I agree. There's
you're creating a brand, you know what I mean? That's business.
And let's put this bookmark at the end of this podcast, like the caveats, right? One of the big caveats to me is, if you don't like producing music, you don't like the production process, you fucking hate it, it sucks and it's tedious and you just don't like it, then you should use AI to help you with that, right? Yeah. You should use Suno and Udio, and you should hire producers, that off of Fiverr, if you can't afford good producers, to like take those Sunos, Udios and like recreate them. Whatever you got to do. Like, you don't like the production process, fine. No, like that's the thing I don't like, is that everybody has like this cult idea that like, oh, if you're in music, you have to love it. You have to love this. And it's like, no, you don't. So anyway, so going back to this, like, you have to think about the things you really enjoy doing, right? And hire everything else out. Like, that's how you scale anything. If you want people to hear your music, there's no way you are going to be the producer, writer, artist on the artwork, everything, right? Yeah. Mixing, mastering engineer. I do everything, I'm my own booking agent.
Some people enjoy Photoshop,
If you do that. If you like doing all that, cool, bless your heart. But like, you're going to have a very mid-level career, if that. You're just not going to get very far with that. And believe me, I know this from experience. Like, you have to know where you want to be. Do you want to be making this much money in front of this many people? Do you want to just have this as a hobby and mess around with Logic or Pro Tools or FL Studio? Like, where do you want to be and what are you trying to do? Everybody's goals are different. I would never say like everyone needs to want to be Drake or be a big famous artist. Yeah. So there's a caveat there. Like, you need to understand, like, what do you actually like doing? Do you like prompting AI all day? Maybe you should become like a programmer, AI prompter, and not musician. Like, you shouldn't be in
I think that's naturally how a lot of people in our space end up where they end up, So that's why certain people end up as managers and A&Rs. Because they started as musicians and they realized, I enjoy the business of music more than
I like this part of it.
So it might even push you into what you find you really enjoy out of this whole process. You know what I mean? Because not everyone needs to be rapping on stage, even though everyone wants to be the one rapping on stage.
Yeah, you do. But I think
there's a lot of rappers who hate performing live. Yeah,
I think you have a really good point. It's like, when I first started in music, I wanted to be the lead singer on the stage playing shows. I didn't care about making records or anything. I just wanted to go play live shows. Yeah. And then that turned into like, I want to be a producer. I want to just be in a room fucking getting high, like sampling vinyl on my MPC, playing acoustic guitar, writing songs and producing, right? And then that turned into, oh, this producing thing is like getting more technical. I want to learn about the engineering stuff. And then I went to school and became, got a degree in sound and like get heavy into engineering. You and I would geek out, like 1073 versus 1081 would be this, and this is the API 2500 versus that. We just like go in and go deep on gear and SSL
There's
consoles.
A lot of people who hate that shit though.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you go through this whole journey figuring out what you actually really love and what you just fucking hate. And I'll be real, like, that all kind of, I'm 41 now and it's coming full circle. Like, I am making records. Like, I am writing. I am an artist now more than anything because I love that part of it. But I learned all the technical and the stuff that I didn't like along the way. And I think that that's important. With AI, you're able to, especially generations, you guys are in your 20s,
expedite the process of the shit you hate.
Man, expedite it, dude. Like, check it out. Like, do you like this part? Do you want to write lyrics? If you love writing lyrics, why would you use AI? Just write lyrics.
And me and you have kind of a different vision on the potentials of AI, and I think Brad is not necessarily a big fan of Suno, and I'm the fucking biggest proponent of it and stuff like that. So
I'm just not into like, I like that idea of like checking things, if that makes sense. Because like, I grew up listening to vinyl records and like just zoning out and going like, how'd they make that sound? Or,
Yeah.
you know, how did they record that? Or, ooh, I would have never thought about that horn line. You know what I mean? Or that bass line or those chords or whatever.
I think the younger you would have enjoyed Suno because especially when
sure.
you're doing boom bap records, you know, that's how they made BBL Drizzy. Is they just, you know what I mean? They literally just made a sample and then they sampled it.
Yeah, and then you resample it. Oh, I would have went crazy.
That's what I'm saying. You would have just made your own samples and not had to worry about, you know,
Put
Isley
it-
Brothers and all that other.
Yeah,
you
put
know.
it in the MPC and like, because sometimes in your head, you're just like, I want to hear this, like, this horn thing going on, you know? A section, or I want this break with the drums doing this at this BPM, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's what happened though. Like with sampling is it went from vinyl and then it went to like people making, I remember getting.
Making samples, making fake samples.
I remember getting, before that.
Loop packs and shit.
Before that, we got vinyls of like drums. It would just be like drum breaks.
Yeah. 70s breaks.
Yeah, so it would just be a collection of breaks on the vinyl. And then it turned into like MPC like packs where you'd get like drum and sample packs and one
Make your own
shots.
shit. Yeah.
Bro, you remember that. And then they were on DVDs. You know what I mean? And then you like upload them to your computer and like
I started on Fruit Loops though, so I was on the cutting edge. Everyone there's a lot of hardware people like Manny Fresh back in the day that, you know.
SP1200.
Yeah, exactly. That there's a huge shift in the game when it was just
and
the hardware
Sonics,
guys
and
that
Sonics
that had
keyboard.
to go and learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
the
Plays had to go
Kanye,
and learn.
Kanye West was the in Sonics, right? Where you do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, take the sample of the soul singing chop or whatever.
But that's what I'm saying. There's that now with AI. That's the AI is the new version of that. All you hardware guys have to go learn Logic and Fruity Loops and whatever.
Yeah, facts. So. And you know they're putting it into DAWs.
Yeah.
You know, I think Logic was one of the first to do it with AI drummer. You know.
Yeah.
They have the drummer track and now they have the bass player track, which I use all the time.
I mean,
I've
Suno
released
is
multiple
built...
records with the AI drum or bass player.
Did we talk about it last? I think we did. But Suno is now built into Alexa.
Oh, crazy!
Amazon did a partnership with Suno.
That's crazy.
So people just sitting at their homes can talk to their Alexa and generate a song.
So what are they doing? They're like, oh, hey, make a song in this kind of
Hey,
style.
Alexa, make a song for blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
that's kind of fun. Like the the personalized music is cool.
Yeah. So
like, hey, make a song for my son's birthday. Yeah,
exactly.
totally. Or my parents are having an anniversary. You know, make a song in this style.
Yeah, do it like 70s.
So that's cool,
rock.
but then that opens up an opportunity, which I think a lot of people don't think about. They're like, Suno's going to take everybody's job, but it's like, how many people are going to create songs with Suno, Udio, and then they're going to be like, oh my God, now we want someone to play this at their wedding, or we want to like someone to do this, perform this. Like that's going to open up so many opportunities for musicians.
Yeah, the future's kind of disgusting with AI because these things integrating with each other, you know what I mean? And there would be a point where ChatGPT does what Suno does or does what everything. Because just like, remember social media? Remember when like Snapchat was the only one and then all its features the stories got stolen?
The stories, yeah. That was a big deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So ChatGPT is ChatGPT is that for AI. It's going to just swallow.
ChatGPT is Instagram right now.
Yeah. Of AI.
For sure.
So
they're taking all the features and putting it in.
Yeah, so all that is going to be built into ChatGPT, Suno, and all that shit.
See, I think that's dope because at the end of the day, like what I predict, you know, is like in 3 years, we're just going to be bored of it. Like you'll be like, everybody can generate that. Who gives a shit, right?
Oh, I hate Suno already. I mean, as far as what it generates, because I just hear it so much, it's everything sounds generic to me.
Exactly.
So if something does stand out to me, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
So
that's where I think we're gonna have still the same thing going on with art and music and everything else. It's like, oh, so you did a generation on AI. We don't care. It sounds AI.
Yeah.
But then like when people start to blend the human with the AI and they make ridiculously cool shit, and then you're like, oh, that is fucking good. Like that's where we're going.
Well, I guess we can get into the next nerdy topic, which is that's what people are doing in kind of what we call the cinematographer space, where they're generating visuals that are kind of like, they're getting more and more human-like, which, you know, all the people inside the movie industry are worried that like, oh, well, and there's studios that are now starting that are AI generated that are getting budgets to create feature films on AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Well, the studios always worry about that because they are used to getting paid way too much for what they do.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Well, I don't,
No, they're used to it. Like, okay, think about
there's
this.
a lot of unions and, there's Directors Guild, there's...
That's what I'm saying, though. Like,
SAG, there's...
Yeah, but there's a problem there is, like, when people get really used to making... just ridiculous amounts of cash.
Yeah, these movies are like 100, 250 million, like $250,000 just for a movie that...
Fucking stupid.
That has to make back, like... $1 billion to break even. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But like, think about this. It's the same thing what happened with the music industry and MP3s and Napster. It was like the music industry was making shitloads of money for no reason. Like, these musicians and composers...
Well, they were selling. I don't think it was for no reason. The music was selling back then.
The music was selling, but I'm saying like composers, in the 90s when they were like scoring a film or whatever.
Well, it was supply and demand. There was not as many composers back then.
That's true. That's true. Good point. Good point.
The demand is not as high.
So
as the supply these
where
days.
do you see the demand going then after all the AI? stuff
AI,
comes
the
out?
integration, it'll blow it out to oblivion. But what I
you know what I'm saying? Like, where does the demand go? Because like, what are humans gonna want?
I actually think AI is gonna make our space hyper competitive if it's not competitive enough now, because
the digital part of it.
No, I'm talking to every aspect, because what I do on Suno will be normalized. Is what I've always said.
Sure, I agree.
I'm not like maybe what I do right now is more rare because people haven't caught up. But I think in the next 5, it's everyone's gonna be able to.
But that's with everything.
But
I remember growing up skateboarding. Like, when I thought I was badass, I could kickflip a 10 stair, and then I watch kids now that are like 12 that can like, 360 kickflip a fucking 25 stair, and they're like, oh, that was easy. That's like the base level.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's just that's part of it.
But there's a difference, because now that we, if you want to go off of that, is they had YouTube where they had tutorialized the ability to do that, so that you could teach a 5-year-old how to do that.
Right. So people
that's
get
what I'm
better
saying.
at
What
shit.
I do, like,
they get better
it's
at
gonna
shit.
get, he's gonna go to infinity.
Facts.
But what I'm gonna why I'm saying that is because
but that opened up careers for people.
Yeah. Because a lot of what I do with, like, say, a ChatGPT is generate tagline ideas, because the tagline is what makes your song. You know what I mean?
For the hook, yeah.
Good times back is your tagline. Let's bring those good times back.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to create a song like that, I would just tell, hey, in the style of Bradley Denniston, put good times back, and then I could have it generate 1,000 taglines. Most of them are trash, but you'll find that one that'll, like, okay,
but
it'll spark the idea for something really amazing. So
this is the interesting part, though. You think it's really amazing. You get what I'm saying?
It's not just me. I'm telling you that everybody that I work with, and I could go and jerk myself off to no end. But
all I'm saying is like, it's so subjective. You could think that you have a hit. You could sit with all your A&R friends, all your people that have done it before, and go like, "This is it," and it could flop. It's subjective.
But that goes with all art. So that's the whole point.
Exactly. So are we saying the same thing?
No. I'm saying basically the reason why is because people who are at a base level now have the ability to have a good example is I was actually doing this with writing style, and this was just me messing around. But who is the voice in the face of the Universe show? What's his name? Okay, it doesn't matter. But
Wizard of Oz.
So a good example. I'll just make a hypothetical, because instead of saying what I've already done, I'm just gonna use a hypothetical. So a good example is if I am a writer and, like, my vocabulary is not amazing.
Right.
I have shit vocabulary in this hypothetical, but I say, hey, write in the style of Shakespeare. Now I can write Shakespearean work without having to know the vocabulary of what it takes to actually write Shakespeare.
Sure.
If that makes any sense.
Sure.
So that's exactly what, you can, if you apply that same concept to music, you know what I mean? So people who are not good at maybe writing lyrics, they have access to, you know what I mean, more complicated writing styles in that sense.
Okay, so I get what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. It's punching everybody up to where the new baseline is going to be much higher than what it used to be. Similar to what you're talking about. 12-year-olds can do the same kickflip shit that was hard for me when I was...
I understand that, but like a kickflip and a 360 kickflip and all that stuff, those aren't subjective. Those are just like, that's more difficult. Yeah. So when we look at, language models, that's more difficult. But when the baseline becomes like anyone can do this because no one's actually doing it, it's the computer doing it, You know what I mean? It's something else generating it. It's not you. It's not you learning, not understanding.
No, people are going to learn from that. Is what I'm saying.
Sure, but they're not going to conceptualize until they really learn from it, right? So they have to go deep, deep, deep into this thing and this practice. And then the practice changes. And then the practice, the art, is subjective no matter what. So here's my theory on this whole thing, right? Is you go, okay, yeah, well, you can learn, these people can train it on Shakespeare or Drake or whatever else, right? Okay, so if everyone gets so used to that, it's just like the type beats, right? You remember that? BeatStars, it would be like, a new song came out and it was hot and it was the hit. Then like there was type beats for everybody was making the same beat as that artist was making. Travis Scott type beat, right? That was a huge point in time. Okay, so everyone gets really fucking tired of it. And then they get saturated by it and then they go like, oh. And subjectively, it's not good anymore to anybody. I mean, some people, they love it still, right? Like they're just caught in that and they just fucking love it. And I can't get away from it. I love Travis Scott, right? And I love those beats. Those are so sick. And I'm going to make all my music sound like Travis Scott or Kanye West, right?
Yeah.
But then the general public is going to be like, dude, we cannot take this anymore. This Shakespearean stuff. We can't take this anymore. So like you have these like moments that are going to go a lot faster, where it's like people are going to be on it so quick. Right? So then like when you think, oh, this is hot. See, everyone around me thinks this is hot too in the industry. What does the industry know? Right? Because all the tastes start shifting. Because if the industry can do it, and then also the kid that knows shit about shit can do it. You get what I'm saying? It's the same thing that happened with beat makers and with type beats. And I think it's just like a recycling. And what
taste will always change, but I think
taste will change, but I think faster.
But so let me hit a counterpoint to that. And then I think it'd be cooler to talk like just a little bit more about, some of the options that AI have. But to counterpoint this is, yes, there is certain metrics in art that is definitely objective, but at the same time, there is also a very subjective part to art too. You know what I mean?
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
So like I can subjectively say Adele is a better singer than, my 5-year-old cousin. You know what I mean? And just pure technical.
You're saying objectively.
Objectively, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Mix that up. Objectively. Like Adele is objectively a better singer, a better songwriter.
Yeah, technically.
So if I could have my...
Technically.
Yes.
Because maybe your daughter like has this really good feel and makes me cry when I hear her voice.
Sure. Yeah.
But and maybe
what
it's
I'm
my
saying, though, is say my 5-year-old cousin is writing a song, but she has the ability to have Adele... trained as a model inside of there and write the song with her. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's gonna punch the 5-year-old way higher than where she would
everybody understands that part of it. I'm not even arguing any of that.
You're talking about how tastes change and then that it'll play Adele out, or if we're using that example, right?
Fast.
Yeah.
So fast. Because if everybody decides they're going to be the hottest thing that's happening right now, then it's going to bore the shit out of the audience. And think about this. If the audience is the creators, like, because we see that more and more now, make a post on Instagram about producing music and you'll get 50,000 producers saying, nah, you could do it this way in Ableton. And you're like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. We know you're a producer. You've been making beats for 3 years. We got it. You just picked up Ableton.
Yeah.
We don't care anymore. It's like that part of it is like, who cares? We don't care. Oh, you can make a type beat. You can rip off somebody. Most people can. Like, you can actually do that very, very easily without the tools of AI. Right?
Yeah.
Like, literally, like,
you
it's
can
pretty
pull
easy
some
to
loops
do.
off of Splice. You know what I mean? You're there.
Yeah, facts.
So.
And you can also use Stem Splitter in all these applications and break out the stems and hear just the chords and just the bass and just the whatever. So what I'm saying is that, that whole idea of like, oh, I think we got a hit here, you don't fucking know. Nobody knows. And if you knew and you could do that with AI and you could generate it right now, you might have a time period right now where you have like the Bitcoin of music production, right? Where there is some leverage you have right now because you're on the cutting edge of using AI and you're also very musical. And you're also very talented and skilled and you have the background. You've been a producer your whole life, a songwriter. You've had hits. You've had this stuff. Yes, there is a moment in time, I think, where people are going to capitalize on that. They're going to leverage it and they're going to do really well. Just like with Bitcoin or whatever trading, Yeah. But then that window and that door is just going to go and everyone's going to be on it. So yeah, it's hard. It's
But
hard
you're
to say.
gonna object like what I was my point to that was that
Objectively,
it's gonna punch
everybody will
everybody
be-
up because
yeah.
they're gonna have to learn. They're like as they're going and writing their taglines, which most people be the reason why most people's songs suck is when it comes on the lyric side, it's their tagline. It's like
Yeah.
yo, this doesn't speak anything. You know what I mean?
I think the
So
the
I'll
hard
say
part,
that on that, but on the technical side, yeah, if you're generating Sunos and you don't understand melodic structure, you re-singing that is literally teaching your brain the melodic structure.
I agree with that.
So that's what I'm
I
saying.
like that part.
That's
of it.
my whole point is whether it's on the technical side of writing lyrics or melodic structure and coming up with catchy melodies because you're understanding how this thing is putting it together based on data of millions of songs.
But
know
you
what
could
I mean? So-
already do that by just covering a song by Bruno Mars or Adele or whatever.
Yeah, but most people I think when they're learning music and trying to create it for themselves, yeah, a lot of people are covering. Like if you're learning piano, sure, you're covering.
That's what you
know.
learn. That's the first thing you learn in music school.
Yeah, absolutely. And
It's like go and make this song.
but
like, literally
I think
recreate
I
it.
think the real nerdiest people that are and I know it when I see them in the studio they just can't help but try to create something
Mess
from
around.
scratch.
Yeah, mess
you know
around,
what I mean?
yeah, for
and
sure.
I like playing Bruno Mars, but I just can't stop fucking around with these chords.
Yeah, half the
Yeah,
this
so-
is because this feels like me.
And
It
the
feels
real
like an
competitive
extension.
people are like, oh, how do I get to there? How do I get to there? And they're
Quicker.
like AI, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But I guess my whole point is that yes, and as we talked about in the other podcast, and in fact, I can't remember if it was during a podcast. I talk with people all the that's half my job is talking to people.
Yeah, dude, before we go further,
Yeah.
you guys let us know what you think in the comments. What do you think the future of all this is going to be? Because this is unpredictable, right? Where is it going to go? Where is it going to get more competitive? Is it going to become completely demonetized? Is it just going to become a thing where everyone's making music and nobody's selling any music? Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to care about it? And where's it going to come from, right? Who's going to have the hit songs and stuff? And how long are they going to last? Let us know in the comments what you guys think about this. I'm just curious. I want to know what other people are thinking about with this stuff, because my brain is going oh, this could go there. It's like prediction of the future of this and where, because you're right. The baseline raises up, but do we get so tired of things being so musically correct or structured technically? Do our ears and our brain and we evolve as humans and go that's just not interesting anymore because we've heard that so much?
Well, I'm gonna swing it back around, but I'm gonna take it back out of the AI hypothetical and bring it to what we have right now.
Yeah.
So I definitely talk to songwriters and artists all the time, and there are certain artists that are, especially when they're new, they have trouble working with other people or using other people's songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And the best way to explain it, and I think anybody knows who's in the music game, and they're working with other people, other creatives, or even
writers, top liners.
all
Hey,
that stuff,
replace this.
It feels like you're wearing someone else's clothes.
It does.
Yeah. So you know that.
It doesn't
right?
feel. That's what I'm saying about AI and Suno and stuff is it doesn't feel like you. It's not an extension of you as a creative, as an artist. And there's something off about it. And that's the same thing if a top songwriter in the world writes something and says, dude, you just sing that, put that out, that's a hit. Some people just want to be artists and create.
Yeah, do what they want to do.
Because that is fulfilling for them.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it makes $1 or it makes $1 billion. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So
my argument is not for those people. My argument is for the competitive music industry people, which I'm assuming if you're watching this podcast, you came here to learn some shit and punch higher, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's also you can be competitive and you can want to build a music industry, but authentically and not off of something else. I think that's the hard part, because you have so many artists that have mental illnesses because they went that route. They were like, I need to get hits and I need to get this thing. And then they're not fulfilled because they have all these songs out there that they don't even fucking like. And they go out there and they perform those songs.
But that goes into a separate argument other than AI, I guess. But
no, it
yeah.
goes into the whole argument of like someone else creating this thing because they know that it has commercial viability, and then they build a career with an artist off of that thing. That's not what that artist truly wants.
Yes, that's happened from the beginning of time, separate from AI is my point. But back to kind of to build off of your point and to explain it, in the music industry, why, in my personal opinion, and I think that all the data backs it up, is in the past 10 years of the music, there has been what I call microwave music.
Oh, for sure.
Which is, it's a vibe. Everything is a vibe.
It's a vibe.
You know
Just
what
put
I mean?
it out. It's a TikTok.
We lost what was in the 90s and the early 2000s, the
craft.
2010. And that's the craft, and I call that the Max Martin era of music, where music was
Crafting
highly technical.
records.
Yeah.
Crafting records.
Crafting records and highly technical
Yes.
records, you know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like, the
Very
down
thought
to
out.
the performance, like those artists had to train and they had to hustle,
Yeah.
and they had to go through vocal coaches. They're in the music industry, they vocal coaches like hardly.
That started with Motown, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying the pinnacle of that was the Max Martin era, where
Artist
was
artist development in Motown.
Yeah.
They literally had to go to artist development classes to learn how to dress and how to walk and how to stand on the stage and how to talk and how to present themselves and what hats to wear and all that shit.
So why the vibe era died and all these rappers are going out and like
Which sucks,
we
because
talked about this on the podcast.
That was showed,
Yeah,
that was
all vibe music, but the people who are winning are the people who are back to the technicals, like K-pop. So why K-pop is so explosive, because they artist develop. So
It's very planned.
and it's based
Strategic.
on there's no confusion there. If you come from that era, what I call the Max Martin era, you understand why pop music worked, because it played to our bass senses, and the repetition of the melody was very similar to lullabies that kid, so we have a connection between it. Like I said, it's a deep science that I could go into. They study the number of words of a song, you know what I mean, that 120 was the like, you know what I mean, I'm telling you, they have the top 20 chord progressions on every song, every major hit of all time.
Right. So
that's what I'm saying, it's down to a science.
So right there.
Yeah.
That is a very important point.
But the vibe era threw all that out. That's why we had the vibe era. Future dropping 6 mixtapes a year.
So
threw that
hold
out.
on.
Yeah.
So what you're saying right now, though, is that someone growing up right now that's in their teenage years is completely different than how we grew up. So they are trained completely different. Their brains, how they evolved, the screens, the YouTube, the vibe era, all these things, they don't have the same technical scientific proof of melodies, nursery rhymes, etc. that we had growing up.
Why do you think the most consumed music
different.
right now is from 2000 to 2010? It's in almost the 80 to 90 percentile right now as far as music being streamed on all streamers.
So you think it's
the
because
kids are going back to that old music, that 2000s
you think
era
it's because
music.
of Baby Shark?
It's because the music now is not connecting with them. That vibe era music is not connecting with them.
Because
they're
it's
going
not,
back.
It's not instinctual.
They're going back to all that old music. So.
Yeah, because they can.
Even the rappers like Nelly had hooks in their songs, and there's melodic riffs that caught their ear.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So that's a good point. So like the best way I could think about that is we have innately in our brains, our bodies, whatever, I don't know what it is, our souls, right? We can hear and feel something that's authentic, right? Like we can feel it when it's authentically like something that grabs you, right?
That's why Benson Boone's killing it. You know
Facts, yeah. And dude, like all these guys, like Zach Bryant, like he's just selling out massive stadiums,
Yeah.
And he's just a guy with an acoustic guitar, 3-piece band sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like that authenticity of writing good songs, melodies, things that resonate with people. Also, people, I think, innately can tell when you worked really hard for something.
Yeah.
I actually learned this from like a course that I did with social media and stuff. Paid thousands of dollars for it, by the way. But they're like, and this is maybe hopefully helpful to you guys. They were saying that if you just made, like if you're having a problem right now with your social media, your reach on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, if you just made a video that just looked like and actually took you more effort, right? You shot it over multiple days. You had different outfits. You had different scenarios where you were outside and you were at a park and you were there and you were there. You were at different places. humans innately, our brains can tell that you put more effort into something, so we like it more and we'll pay more attention to it and we'll show it more love and we'll, and that's why like this talking head sort of thing, like us on a podcast, is really hard to reach people and get good engagement, is because people see like, oh, that's easy. You could just sit there and talk, right? But if we were like on a podcast where we were vlogging and we were going on the street and talking to people, and then it was like the next day we woke up in a tent and then we went to this studio and then we did that, the more effort that people see you putting across in your videos, the more they'll like it and engage with it. So I think that has a lot to do with songs as well. And I think that's what a lot of artists are missing. They're missing the fact that they constantly will argue with you online like, you don't need a producer. You don't need a mixing engineer. You don't need to do this. You don't need to put any money into your stuff. You don't need to invest, right? You don't need that. You can do all that on your own. You could just learn it. And it's like, oh, AI can just do that, whatever. To me, I'm like, yeah, but that's why nobody connects with it. That's why you don't get an ROI on your shit. Like, that's why nobody streams your song. That's why you don't sell out shows, because people can tell like that you just did it all yourself and it wasn't really that much of effort. Like the vibe era of music was like,
that was the pushback to all
that
the
was
structure.
Like get
it
a
was
beat.
The anti-structure.
Yeah, it was get the beat off YouTube for free, right? Rip it with the tag still in it, with the tag in it. Put the shitty mic up in your bedroom or your homie's room, smoke a bunch of weed, and fucking freestyle something and say it's done.
Upload SoundCloud.
Dude. And that's why people just are exhausted of that. They just don't care about it because it's like, that didn't take you anything, bro. You guys were just getting wasted and you like cut some shit, And that's why I agree with you. Like those artists that are putting in the effort, writing those songs, like spending the time on them, telling stories, like deep, authentic stories. And it doesn't even have to be that. It's like well produced, well mixed, mastered, presented, the visual aspects, the content. Like I try to do that because I love doing that,
They were spending $1 million a music video back in the 2000s, remember?
I wish I could. Don't you want to do that? Like, I want to like script out a film. I want to fucking make a storyline. I want to build
10,000 people on set with lighting.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care how much work it is. I don't care how much work it is. And I think that's the difference between creatives and artists that do really well and artists that are just like not really artists. They're just hobbyists, just fucking around because I can do it. I got a microphone or whatever. So you got to be conscious of that. Like, the effort you put across, people can see it. They can feel it.
Yeah. I
think that's really important.
But authenticity, yeah, I agree. But you have to be that, and the AI obviously can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that comes to that you're the human component of it.
Yeah,
so
facts.
you, like you said, if you just sing what it tells you to sing, then you're not gonna cut.
No. So are you guys gotta drop some love and some questions in the comments so we can answer questions next episode. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Any last thoughts on AI, music, and people like the artists out there? Anything you want to say to them about like how to utilize this stuff? Last stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's right now we're in kind of a very green zone, and ChatGPT updates every week.
Yeah,
and so
that's crazy.
I think just as far as this goes, you just have to mess around and see how this can apply to what you do. Because, like you said, I think the people that are still trying to do everything are the people who are going to lose in this race. You know what I mean?
They're going to get clobbered, bro.
Like, you know how it is. It's like, I think most people fail at music because they just give up. And the reason they give up, because, doing this many social media clips is a lot of work. You know what I mean? So
it is.
Like you have to be able to find ways to offload work, you know what I mean? So that you can focus on the thing that you love the most. So
I agree.
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Yeah. And I think like just my final thoughts on it are find the things you like to do and everything else, don't do it, like literally just don't do it. And find the joy in the process, like I don't think I ever got into music thinking, oh, I'm going to do this because one day my goal is to get a Grammy and make $1 billion, and then I'll be happy because my music made $1 billion. I never got into it because of that. I got into it because I was curious about it. I liked doing the stuff that it entitled. Like, I want to learn guitar. I want to learn how to play these drums. I want to learn how to make drums sound really cool on a record. I want to learn how to make rap vocals sound like that record. How do you do that? Like, that's curiosity, I think, that it will drive you to keep going and use these tools and not look at them as like, an inhibitor or something that's going to take all your creative, energy and your job away. But think of it more as like, man, I really like this process. What can I do with it? And be curious about it and try to break it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see you guys next time. Peace.